Welcome to Lesson 11, Commands and Requests. In this lesson, we will learn how to recognize one of the most important patterns in Quranic Arabic, the language of commands and requests. This is an especially useful lesson because these forms appear often in the Quran, in instructions, warnings, guidance, and dua. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to spot the difference between present or future tense, negative command, and some common affirmative command forms. When you hear these forms in the Quran, you will begin to notice this is a command, this is a request, this is Allah telling someone to do something or not to do something. That recognition alone is a big step forward. Listen to these three words first. These three words alone cover about 1% of the Quran.
جاء أتى آتى.
Here we are looking at three very common action words in the Quran. The first word means he came. Its root carries the idea of coming or arrival. The next two words are especially interesting because they share the same root, alif, ta, ya. The second word means he came. So here the root keeps the idea of movement toward or coming. But the third word means he gave. At first, that may seem very different, but it is actually related. You can think of it as bringing something to someone, and from there, the meaning becomes giving. So the important point is this. In Arabic, a root gives a general core meaning, but different verb forms can develop that meaning in different directions. This is a very useful lesson for Quranic Arabic. Sometimes two words look very close, but a small pattern change can shift the meaning. So for this slide, the main takeaway is same root, different form, different translation. If you would like a moment to look these over, click pause now and continue when you are ready. Remember this key verb slide from earlier. Past tense is on the right, and present/future tense is on the left. Now we narrow our focus. For this lesson, the most important area is the second person. That means the forms for you and you all. And inside that, our main focus is the present/future tense side. Notice the key clue, the letter ta at the beginning. That ta helps us recognize the second-person form. This is important because commands are usually directed to you or you all. So before we study commands, we first want to be very comfortable spotting this second-person present/future pattern. Once this form is clear, the next step becomes much easier. And that is exactly where we go next. We take this second-person present/future form and use it to recognize the negative command. Now we come to the easier command pattern, the negative command. The good news is that this one is very clear. To make a negative command, Arabic uses la with the second-person present/future form. So, on the right side, we begin with
تجعل
meaning you make, and
تجعلون
meaning you all make. Now add la. So
تجعل
becomes
لا تجعل.
that means do not make. And
تجعلون
becomes
لا تجعلوا.
that means do not make you all. Now notice something important in the plural. The final noon drops, but the word is still plural. The waw aleph helps us still recognize you all. And this is not completely new. You have already seen this noon drop idea before, back in Lesson 8. So the main takeaway from this slide is simple. Negative command equals la plus second person present / future tense. That is why the negative command is the easiest command pattern to recognize. If you would like a moment to look these over, click pause now and continue when you are ready. Now we will go through some ayats and reinforce our recognition. Read the translation, map the Arabic, then listen. Pause before each ayah and take the time you need.
لا تجعل مع الله إلها آخر فتقعد مذموما مخذولا. ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إنك لن تخرق الأرض ولن تبلغ الجبال طولا. ولا تجعلوا مع الله إلها آخر إني لكم منه نذير مبين. وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون.
Now we move to the affirmative command. This one is a little different from the negative command. There's not just one simple rule we can apply in the same way. Instead, we begin by noticing some common patterns. On the right side, we again start with the second person present / future forms, because commands are directed to you or you all. Now look at the affirmative command examples on the left. The first common pattern is this. Sometimes an aleph is added at the beginning of the root word. So, for example,
اجعل
make and
اعبد
Worship. The second common pattern is this. Sometimes a weak letter drops from the root word. So, for example,
قل
say, and
كن
be. This is where your mapping technique helps. As you listen to the Quran, these singular command forms often sound short, firm, and direct. Look for a final sukoon, and sometimes another short stop in the middle. You may hear that clipped sound, and then connect it with the meaning. So even though there is no single simple rule for every affirmative command, listening and mapping the translation will help these patterns become familiar over time. Slowly, they begin to feel natural. Now look at the plural forms underneath.
اجعلوا
Make, you all.
اعبدوا
Worship, you all.
قولوا
Say, you all.
كونوا
Be, you all. Notice something important here. That final waw aleph is the same plural clue we already saw in the negative command. So once again, waw aleph helps us recognize you all. If you would like a moment to look these over, click pause now and continue when you are ready. Now we will go through some ayats and reinforce our recognition. Read the translation, map the Arabic, then listen. Pause before each ayah and take the time you need.
والذين يقولون ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما. واعبد ربك حتى يأتيك اليقين. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بديع السماوات والأرض وإذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون. قال فأت به إن كنت من الصادقين. ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.
For your reference, and for ease of review, here are both command patterns together on one slide. On the right, we begin with the second person present/future forms, because that is the base for commands. In the middle, you see the negative command. This is the easier pattern, because it uses le with the second person present/future form. In the plural, the noon drops. On the left, you see the affirmative command. This one is less uniform, but two common patterns stand out. Sometimes an alif is added, and sometimes a weak letter drops. Also notice that in the plural, the ending waw alif appears here too, giving the familiar clue for you all. So this slide is your quick summary, a simple recognition map for commands. If you would like a moment to look these over, click pause now and continue when you are ready. Now we move into a full ruku. Listen for recognition, not perfection. You may hear patterns from earlier lessons, and from this lesson too. Use the quick Arabic recognition summary PDF from the comments below as a reference while you review. Now listen carefully and notice how much more you can recognize.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوف بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون. وآمنوا بما أنزلت مصدقا لما معكم ولا تكونوا أول كافر به ولا تكونوا أول كافر به ولا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا وإياي فاتقون ولا تلبسوا الحق بالباطل وتكتموا الحق وأنتم تعلمون وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واركعوا مع الراكعين أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون.
We will now go through the key slides again to help you internalize and recognize what we covered in this lesson. Click pause now if you need time. You are now recognizing 55 words. Together, they cover about 48% of Quranic words. That is a major step forward. This progress comes through steady exposure, not memorization. As these words continue to appear, you are not only recognizing vocabulary, you are beginning to recognize the message. We will continue building on this foundation in the next lesson.